Let's go. John Keim, ESPN. I'm just curious for you, your first shot at this, how excited are you to have this shot as a defensive coordinator?
Man, first off, I'm excited to be here. All right, this is one of the teams that you think about as you're growing up. They won all the Super Bowls as I was growing up, and having the opportunity to be here at Washington is exciting. To be here with Coach Quinn is exciting. You're going to see a man that's going to energize the whole city, not just this football team, the whole fan base. And so my opportunity to be a DC, I've been waiting for this for a long time. All right, the staff that we put together is an outstanding staff. We have a lot of coaches that come from different trees, all right, and we did that by design because we want to have ideas outside of what necessarily I've done in my past. So we're ready for it. Like I said, it's just going to be exciting times.
Obviously, you have ties to Dan, but why do you feel maybe you're ready for this now?
That's a funny question to me. I've been coaching in the league for 18 years, okay? I see a lot of these young guys get opportunities years prior, and nobody really questioned them, you know what I'm saying? I've been ready, and just the opportunity now has come with Coach Quinn. But a question of my ability to call defense, to structure a defense, to do that, I have full confidence in that.
Hi, Ben Standig with The Athletic. Welcome to town. We obviously got to watch the defense that you and Dan worked on in Dallas. People want to kind of know what does that mean now? What are you bringing here? Does that you already have a thought in mind of what exactly it'll be, or do you need to see more of, hey, who's on this team, and then adjust to that?
One thing I could tell you, like Dan said, is more about the play style than anything else, okay? We're going to get that right first. And one thing that we're going to do, we're going to be a run and hit defense, all right? We're going to run, and I just told this to our staff, the defensive staff. We had our first staff meeting. The way that we live is not for everybody, okay? It's not, all right? Because we're going to run and put our bodies on people in a violent manner, all right? And so we're going to get that play style right first, all right? And then the structure of what we do doesn't really matter, 3-4, 4-3. Everybody really plays the same coverages to some point. All right. The structure doesn't matter to me. The main thing that matters to me is, are we going to be arriving violently? All right, and we're going to turn the ball over. All right, we're going to make sure we disrupt these quarterbacks.
And as a starting point, to have John Allen and Daron Payne, what does that do for your designs? How excited are you to start working with them?
Man, everything starts up front. Okay, and I'm a back end guy. But when you see me at practice, I'm going to be, and even when I was the cornerback coach in Green Bay or at Louisville, it doesn't matter. I'm always going to the big guys. Hey, it starts up front, all right? And so I'm a believer of that. And that's where we're going. And I'm glad we have those guys because, that's where it all starts.
Scott Abraham, ABC7, welcome to town. You said a violent defense. How do you instill that into your guys?
Well, every day, when we go out there on the field, the standard is the standard. Okay, I know that's thrown around a lot, but part of our coaches and the reason that we got the coaches that we got was because they hold people accountable. All right, they're great teachers first. All right, but if you don't do it the right way, you're going to get called out on it. Okay, there's only one way to do it, and that's the way that we want it done. And if that's not the way that you want to live, that's fine. Okay. All right, you'll probably be somewhere else, but we're going to do it that way, and you just have to go do it. I don't have it's easy to say if you can do this and that. You just have to go do it. You have to just go work. I grew up on a farm. My dad, he had a farm, and all we know is just to work hard, and so that's what we do.
I hear kind of the energy and the passion in your voice, and everybody has different leadership qualities and leadership styles. How do you lead men? What are some things you try to do?
First, I want to make sure I'm a great communicator. I want them to understand that I'm here for them, okay? If we, as coaches, take the gray area out of it, I believe our players play fast. So I'm going to communicate with them. I want them to know I'm a great listener as well, okay? So if they have good ideas, we'll listen, all right? This is a collaborative deal. This is not about me. This is not about the staff. This is about us as a unit playing high-level ball, all right? Make sure that the Commanders are playing winning football every time we step on the field. And so I'm not really a rah-rah guy, okay, especially on game day. I believe if you're doing a lot of yelling on game day, you haven't done your job during the week. All right, a game day is for helping the players, teaching the players, putting them in a great position. Now, at practice, all right, we're going to make sure we get them going the right way. So you'll see a big difference between me on the practice field and on game day. On game day, it's all about helping those guys, getting them in the right position because they're trying their butts off, all right? They're not trying to mess up, trust and believe, all right? So I want to make sure that we put them in a great position that they can go out there and play fast.
As you step into a new team, what is
What's your name, Mel?
I'm Nikki Javala with the Washington
Nikki?
Post. Sorry
Okay,
about that. As you step into a new team, what is your general process for how you go about evaluating the roster?
All right, so that's where we're starting at right now. We have what we call a profile of each position of what we are looking for in our defense. And so we match what we have against the profile of what we're looking for. And you'll hear us talk a lot about we won't talk about what guys can't do. We want to know what they can do and how far along the journey can we bring them within our system. And so that's what we're doing right now. And we're in the process of evaluating the roster. We did that as a coaching staff today. And I wanted to hear one-liners and what each position coach thought about the position of the men there. And then we'll start to see what we feel like we must have, what we need, and some wants that we want from a talent acquisition standpoint.
And just being in the division the last few years, does that give you any sort of leg up in the process, or do you just start completely anew as if they're
it might give you a little bit because, we played these teams twice, but it's really I'm looking at the other side of the ball. So I really haven't watched, Washington's defense prior to coming here. So it wasn't that much of an advantage.
What's a profile
Excuse me.
Sam Fortier with the Washington Post.
Sam, okay, thank you.
Can you tell us about a profile of one position?
No, I cannot. I don't want people to know what we're looking at and what we're looking for because I think that's the secret of Dan and the things that we actually look for. That's not for everybody to know.
What's your timeline, I guess, from now until maybe the draft of how you're going to go through the process of evaluating what you have, what you need, who you bring in? Like, can you kind of walk us through how you're planning on doing that?
To be honest with you, we're going to follow the calendar that Dan gives us, okay? So right now we're in the process of evaluating who we have, all right? And we did that pretty much today. And then once we get the free agent list, which we haven't gotten yet, we'll look at those guys that we could possibly add from there. Same thing when we get the draft list. It's the same process on all 32 teams. You follow – you look at your staff. Even if, let's say, I was back in Dallas right now, we'll be reevaluating our current players, all right? Who's there, who can we take further on the journey? And so same thing here, nothing different.
Hey, Joe, welcome to D.C. I'm
Yes,
JP Finley with NBC4 and 106.7.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You guys have had a ton of success defending the pass in Dallas over the past couple of years. That's been a weakness here in Washington. What are the steps you take to flip that over with the new secondary you're in charge of?
One thing I would say is everything that we're going to try to do starts with the quarterback, all right? We want to make that quarterback play post-snap as much as possible. These quarterbacks are too good. So if you allow them to see the structure that you're lined up in and tell them the truth with it, and so they know the coverage or they know where the pressure is coming from, it's going to be a difficult day for you. So as much as possible, what we've done in Dallas from a disguise standpoint and a pressure standpoint is trying to make that quarterback play post-snap, and now the rushing coverage, which is always a good marriage, they can come to life together. And so that's what we're going to try to do. That's why we've had success in not only my time in Dallas, but in Green Bay, that stretch. We're known for turning the ball over, and that's what we're going to do here.
And being known for turning the ball over, is that something you can teach, or is some of that just the way balls bounce on game day? How can you get this group, because they kind of tried to do that in the past, and it hasn't really come to fruition?
Well, I mean, you can coach it some. The first thing is you have to have players that can catch the ball, okay? That's the number one thing, and that might sound simplistic, but that's the truth. Once you get quarterbacks playing post-snap, all right, they're making errant throws. Most interceptions aren't on good thrown balls. They're on tips and overthrows. They're on inside hip throws, on outside breakers. Now, when you have those opportunities on those plays, you got to make them. All right, you got to bring the ball to life, and you'll hear me talk about this all the time. The ball is life, all right, and so it's like air, and we got to have it. We got to get it. Most drills that you see us on the field will end with some kind of guy catching the ball, picking the ball off a fumble, just understanding that how to get the ball out from a punch, a rake, or what have you. We're going to attack the ball every kind of way we can in practice, so it translates into the game.
Mitch Tischler with Monumental Sports. Last year with the Cowboys, obviously, Michael Parsons is a special player, but you moved him around the defense a lot and kind of got creative a little bit with him. How much of that is a staple of kind of the type of defense that you want to bring to Washington and kind of creating matchups for players like that?
Well, Micah is a unicorn, so he's a little bit different, but it doesn't take a unicorn to be creative, all right? I like to think of our defense, and even going back to Green Bay, as sort of a positionalist defense because – and just follow me with this here. You can take a Micah Parsons and put him at linebacker in the 4-down spacing, or you can put him at a end and 5-down spacing, okay? Or you could take a J-Ron Curse, who we've had as a safety, a Buffalo nickel, and then you can put him in a linebacker-type spacing. It changes the ID for the centers when you do that. It changes that point, and depending on is Micah out there with 4 bigs, or how they're going to consider him. Are they going to put the back on him? Good luck if you want to. All right, are you going to slide to him? So we have some guys here that we feel that can create some real matchup problems with people. And you're gonna hear me talk about feed the studs. You got to earn your right to be a stud so we can design things particularly for you. And we will get creative with especially our pressure package of how we get to the quarterback and who we send to the quarterback, depending on how they prove it on the practice field.
And then quickly, you guys are in an evaluation mode right now.
Yes.
Will you slide some notes to Cliff about what you found about the Washington offense when you were in Dallas?
Well, one thing we will do is we talk about being across the hall and being collaborative. So I'm always going to the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, and saying, hey, I see this concept. This is difficult for us. All right, you might, and they'll do the same thing. So we'll always talk across the hall and make sure that we're giving each other the best advantage in every manner we can.
Hey Joe, Chris Boombaka with USA Today.
Yes, sir.
What did you learn from your dad about coaching?
Oh, from my dad, man, everything. Like just the first thing that I learned from my dad was this is a people's business and to treat people fairly. That's the connections. My dad was a hard coach, man. Like he's a hard man to play for. But his players played a certain style. They ran and hit. They were fundamentally sound, and that's what I got from him. I know I'm a back end guy, not a linebacker coach like he was, but he's what I'm trying to be. All right. I know he never reached to become a head coach and all that, but the respect that he has whenever he walks into a building, everybody respects him. If he walked in here right now, you would know he was in here because he has that type of command of a room. And he's just the man that I'm always trying to aim to be.
Coach David Harrison, Sports Illustrated. Welcome to DC.
Yeah.
Want to ask you about just you mentioned you're ready for this position.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to your career, is there like an assignment or a year that you can look back and say like this is when I knew I was ready to be at DC, just waiting on that opportunity?
Oh, that's a very good question. I probably felt that I was ready in 2015. That year, I from a package standpoint, I had a great idea of what I wanted to do and how to once again get at the quarterback and understand how to manipulate the fronts and the pressure. So it was probably 2015 when I felt that I was ready. And just haven't had the opportunity since then.
And it's very obvious, like your brain works very quickly when you're thinking about NFL defenses. When you have a player that kind of struggles with maybe adapting to a check or a call or something you're trying to teach them, what's something that you kind of do to try to bring that gap together?
Well, if they're struggling, that's our fault. Okay, so as coaches, we take the brunt of the learning to make sure that once they go out there, they're playing fast. So I'm dyslexic, okay? So I always talk about coaching the creative learner. And if a guy struggles to learn at times, that is our job to make sure that we teach them in many different facets and many different ways so that guy can get it. All right, that's our job. That's what they pay us. What they pay us. They don't pay us all this money just to go in there and put it up on the board. And if certain guys can't get it, no, it's your job to make sure they can get it. And if a coach sits there and says he can't learn, he probably can't coach. Okay, so we'll get these guys to understand what we want them to do and do it in a very good manner.
Hey, Coach, Donna Hopkins, Pro Football Plus. Mm-hmm. As you embark upon this new opportunity and as people get to know a little bit about you, what is it that you want people to know about you right off the bat about who you are as a person and also as a coach?
As a person, as a coach, that first, my family's everything to me. I have 3 kids, Joseph, Ava, and Zoe. My wife, Erica, she runs the household. I really don't have any hobbies. My kids are my hobbies. You talked about my dad being a football coach, and he was away, and so I wanted to make sure that my kids were my hobby. So it's my family, it's my football, and it's really just my faith in God. And other than that, I'm a simple guy. I'm a country boy from Alabama. That's all I am.
And in coming here with Coach Quinn, does that help you all jumpstart this defense, hit the road running a little quicker?
It does. It does. So we have a base structure of what we want to do, but very similar to what we did when we went to Dallas, okay? Everybody just knew when we went to Dallas that we were going to run ATL 3s or the Seattle 3 package, and it was probably 4th or 5th game when they realized, oh, they're not doing that, okay? And so what we're going to do, and that's another reason why we brought coaches from different schemes, and we were very strategic from where we brought these coaches from, because we're going to build the commander defense. It's not going to be exactly what we did in Dallas, okay? And if you think it is and you go watch all the Dallas film, all right, good for you. You're going to be mistaken, all right? We're going to build this thing. We have the structure that we want, but we're going to take the ideas from all the coaches that we have on the defensive staff. We're going to do it just like we did in Dallas. We listened to every coach on the staff in Dallas, and we built it together, and that's what we're about to do. We're about to build this thing from the ground up with the understanding that we do have a base structure of what we want to do.
Welcome to town, Coach. Desmond Purnell,
Yes,
WUSA 9. You and Coach Quinn, you were together in Atlanta, together in Dallas. Now you're here in Washington. What's allowed the relationship to be successful between you and Coach Quinn?
First thing, it's going to sound sort of corny, but he's just the best human being that I've probably been around in football. Okay, take the football coach out of it. He's a really good person. When I get to Atlanta and I have to move my family down, he writes handwritten notes to my kids. I've never had a head coach do that. All right, my son was struggling in football with a certain block blitzing scheme, and he takes time out of his day to put a video of Michael Parsons rushing on a tackle from practice to help my son rush on the tackle in his practice. That's what type of dude this is. All right, so I'm all in with him, 100%. And then as a coach, he allows you to be creative. He wants you to think outside of the box. He wants you to going into last year, this offseason, the last 2 years in a row prior to that, 21 and 22, we were the number 1 team in the league for 2 years in a row in turnovers. You know what the first thing he told me to do? Joe, how can we get more turnovers? I want you to research, how do you get more turnovers? Because the ball is life. All right, so he's always trying to make you level up and give you the ability to think outside of the box and do it. He doesn't want to just say, hey, that's the way we've already done it. And I'm a believer, too. If I ask you a question and you say, hey, that's the way I've always done it, it can be changed, all right, because that's not a very good answer. All right, so we're going to always try to find a way to get better and level up and think outside of the box, because that's what these offenses are doing. All right, these motions and these shifts and these formations that these guys are doing, that's coming from the college game. If you don't think it's outside of the box, you will fall short. And so we will be innovative in that way.
And secondly, Coach, I've been around Tank Lawrence, Michael Parsons, Diggs. These are some talkative guys. When you're going to see these guys twice a season, talking about the Dallas Cowboys, what do you anticipate that matchup being, facing off against a team you just spent the past 3 years with? Man,
I have so much respect for the men that in those locker rooms that we just left. They're really good, and I hate that we didn't finish that journey the way that we should have, especially the way that we lost to Green Bay. That was an embarrassing loss for all of us, but I mean, football's football. You run against, like, when the year we won the Super Bowl when I was in Green Bay, my best friend Ryan Clark, he was on that other side of that ball. William Gay, who I coached, was on the other side of that ball. James Daniels was coaching there, my dad's best friend. So you always going to go against people that you have really close ties to, but that's the business that we're in. So to me, it's going to be another game, because it's just another game for real. I don't get caught up in all that.
Hey, Joe, I'm Alex Flum with DC News Now. Welcome to the DMV. You were talking about how great of a person Coach Quinn is. How much does it mean to you that, you were there with him in Atlanta, there with him in Dallas, and now he's bringing you with him here, to this high opportunity that you have now?
It means a lot. I mean, he's given me the opportunity that I've been waiting for years, and so I've been very close. I've interviewed for a few of them. It's just I owe a lot to him, and the thing and we owe a lot to this city and this fan base to make sure that we put a product on the field that they can be proud of. But most importantly, we're here for one thing, and that's to win. Okay, we're here to win, and we're here to play a style of football that when you see us play, you understand that we're trying to, let the other team know that they shouldn't be on the field with us.
Yeah. I know earlier in your career you worked closely with Charles Woodson when he had a really good season recently, like Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland in Dallas. When you look at the secondary here, I know Emmanuel Forbes, when he was in college, was a ball hawker, didn't quite have that exact success last year. What do you see about Forbes, maybe what you've seen so far, and maybe the potential he has, what he can do?
I really liked Forbes when he came out, and not only Forbes, I like Quan, and they have a number of guys on that back end that really, really are intriguing. And the thing that we have to do, that's why we brought Jason Simmons in and Tommy Donatel to get those guys in and to believe in the techniques that we're going to teach them and the scheme that we're going to put them in. But we have quality young players here. We just ready to get to work with them. Yeah.
Coach Chadwick Cotto with Fox 5. Obviously, we can feel your passion. We can feel your energy as well. I wonder what process you go about in terms of taking your way of being and getting that over to the leaders on your defense.
Consistency. That's what it is. They're going to see the same person every day. You can't pick and choose when you want to demand or get things from guys. Every time I walk into that building, they're going to see the same thing. They're going to get the same effort. I tell you one thing, and this is a little bit trying to answer your question. As coaches, when you start to lose sometimes, coaches start to stay later, and my thought process is, because I don't care if we won, I've been on 20 wins in a row, and I've lost 6 in a row, okay? I go home the same time because I'm giving you everything I have. Everything I have every time. So when coaches started to stay later after we've lost 2 or 3 games, man, you were cheating us. Because if you thought that was going to give us a better chance of winning, you would have done it before we lost. So to answer your question is, I'm going to give everything I have to those guys every time they see me, all right? And then I can sleep well at night after that.
You spoke about the 18 years that you've put into coaching and that it should not be questioned that you deserve this position here. I wonder, though, what it means to you to have this position, not just as a DC, but here in the nation's capital. Well,
first off, we were just talking about that today, me and Jason Simmons. It's an honor to be in the NFL, okay? All right. There's only 32 of these opportunities. And then to be here with the Commanders, a team that has just rich history, a team that one of my best friends, Marcus Washington, played for. Ryan Clark has already said. Sean Taylor is my favorite player. All right, so it means a lot to be able to be a part of what we're about to do and bring a high-level brand of defense. I mean, it's to my core. When I got the job, Marcus called me and said, "I know you're going to have those guys running and hitting like we were," and that's what we're going to aim to do.
Coach Whitt, how are you? Candy Waller, Bowie Television. Welcome to the area. How important is it to build that depth on your defense? I know a lot of focus is always on the starters, but how important is it to build that depth?
And when we were fortunate enough in Green Bay to win the Super Bowl, we had 16, I believe it was 16 to 18 guys going injured reserve, and the bottom of the roster became the top of the roster really quickly. And so I really believe that you have to build the whole roster. You have to coach everybody in the room. And so we'll have a group of coaches, the QCs or the quality control coaches. They will have a focus on some of the younger players, and they will get time where they can ask questions because sometimes young players, they get nervous of asking questions in front of the vets. They might not want to do that. So we're going to give them the space away from the vets and with the vets to make sure that we can grow the whole room, not just the stars. All right. Thank you. All right. Y'all have a good one.